personally, so I think it might be a challenging to hold the Olympic as a schedule, but as long as the government says it is determined to do so, staging Olympic is in a best case scenario. That said, as you say, so it should be so maybe a cross call, so right? So that if governments need to cancel the Olympic game, so our estimate of the economic damage in terms of GDP damage is relatively limited. So it's like a 0.1% of annual GDP, actually. So it's because chief reason of a small impact is that all the construction related spending was over. And the remaining part is a loss of inbound and other Olympic-induced domestic spending so by the public and the private sectors. So, so we estimate this portion to be relatively small compared to a very large size of Japan's GDP. So that is why, as I mentioned, we expect economic damage in terms of GDP damage. I mean, it's less than 0.1% of annual GDP.
Okay. Yeah, perhaps, and I mean, that could help explain why we see the public so overwhelmingly opposed to these games going ahead. Baba-san, let's just get your view, too, on, I mean, what lies ahead if, in fact, some of the state of emergency declarations have to be extended. How real is that possibility, and what kind of further damage would that do to growth?
Yeah, it's hard to predict, actually. So because so it is almost the same as predicting the virus situation. But the current state of emergency is until May 31st. But so I think it's a 50-50 chance for the government to extend it. So another 2 weeks and more than 2 weeks, actually. So it is because government is still determined to stage the Olympics. So that before the Olympics, the government need to declare that we have contained pandemics almost completely.
And, you know, just looking at the investor reaction today from the markets, I mean, sure, there are other factors at play here in terms when we talk about the sectors that are benefiting today. But it does make me wonder whether there's a little bit of a bad news means good news for equities paradigm going on, because perhaps they're saying if this data continues to disappoint, that there'll be more policy support. But if you look at the fiscal side and the monetary side, there already has been a lot of policy support coming out of Japan. So what more could be done?
Yeah, okay, so in terms of economic policy, so as you may know, so Bank of Japan's monetary policy is a bit overstretched. So that with very limited scope for further easing, so meaningfully, right? So that's naturally, so governments prioritize the fiscal spending. And we are in fact still in a liquidity trap, so that the monetary policy effectiveness is lost, actually. So that the government need to rely on the fiscal stimulus. And given the current state of the economy, and given the given the political schedule going ahead, I mean, the Suga administration needs to hold general elections until the end of October. So the chance of the government to compile another stimulus package is rising meaningfully.